There is so much to explore in this city that we have merely just scratched the surface. The tour of hidden Lahore continues. Please join me. Just a few feet from the Akbari Gate at Lahore Fort lies a very important mosque, a mosque which is the oldest standing Mughal mosque in Lahore and one that inspired the construction a few decades later of the Wazir Khan Mosque. The Badshahi Mosque comes almost 60-70 years later than the construction of the Mosque of Maryam Zamani, or the Mosque of the Mary of the Ages. Maryam Zamani was the queen consort of Emperor Akbar, the Dowager Empress of India, the Queen Mum of India for 43 years, the mother of Emperor Jahangir. And a plaque outside this mosque, now disintegrated, used to say that the foundation stone of this mosque was laid by the Empress or the Dowager Empress herself alongside Emperor Jahangir, whose name appears on another door. There are several important points about this mosque that I'd like to draw your attention to. First and foremost, this mosque represents what is called the transitionary phase in Mughal architecture. These short domes, broad short archways, these are very Lodi style, and the vaults and the work on these walls is very Mughal. This mosque, built in 1611, has got pure Jahangir era work. You will see this beautiful date palm and see how finely done it is. You will see the stone inlay work, and you can just see this fluidity and fineness of the work that is representative of the Jahangir era of art and architecture. A word or two about Empress Maryam Zamani. Maryam Zamani not only was the Empress of India and Akbar's main wife, Akbar's queen consort, she was also a great businesswoman. She was a trader. She owned two of the largest ships in the world at the time, the Rahimi and the Ganga Savai. In 1618, political fiasco occurred because one of her ships was seized by the Portuguese, and the Empress absolutely flipped out that something like this should happen and went to her son and commanded Jahangir that he ought to take action against what the Portuguese had done. And Jahangir, in return, captured some Portuguese ships, captured some Portuguese structures, threw out some of the Portuguese people. And this marks a very important strategic shift. This is the first time when the favor began to go towards the English because the Portuguese had affronted the Dowager Empress. Maryam Zamani Begum also is known to have said to her son more than once that be careful of the Frank people because you cannot trust them. And she also asked him many times, you really ought to be a naval power. I wonder what would have happened had Emperor Jahangir heeded his mother's advice. And I'm sure she has much to say to him. Maza aa jayega mahshar mein kuch sunne sunane ka. Maza aa jayega mahshar mein kuch sunne sunane ka. Zubaan hogi hamari aur kahani aapki hogi. In the heart of the bustling walled city of Lahore sits this gem. Built in 1753, the Golden Mosque is considered to be an example of Mughal architecture in its decline. This was built under the supervision and during the time of 13th and later Mughal king called Muhammad Shah Rangila. And Rangila's legacy is largely of the administrative, political and military decline of the empire. But I think it's time for us to slightly correct that legacy. No doubt the empire declined in the ways it has been described. But this was a time of great cultural revival as well. Revival in art, architecture, literature, music, poetry. Four pillars of Urdu poetry who are considered the founders of Urdu poetry. Mirza Mazhar Jan Zanan, Rafius Sauda, Mir Taqi Mir, Mir Dard, all were associated with Rangila's court. Muhammad Shah Rangila also replaced Urdu as the language of the court. It was called Zubane Urdu-e Mualla, the language of the exalted troops. He replaced the angrakha and the traditional Chagatai dress into the sherwani, and he built this little gem. A word or two about the Golden Mosque. You will see, firstly, the dome. So if you'll observe this dome, it's got this tuliped structure, which is reminiscent of the Golden Temple. So this is a syncretic style of architecture which draws in Sikh elements in its building. It's a small mosque. Inside you will see frescoes, Mughal foliage, Mughal flowers, Mughal flora, and also elements of my favorite representation in Mughal art, which is the Chini Khana work, literally the Chinese room. So as I've said in other documentaries, the Mughals loved Ming porcelain and Safavid porcelain and porcelain from Europe, and examples of that, the blue and white is represented inside as well. Na wo husn mein rahi shokhiyan, na wo ishq mein rahi garmiyan, na wo ghaznavi mein tadap rahi, na wo kham hai zulf-e-ayaz. In 1021 AD, when Mahmud of Ghazni came to Lahore and stayed here for a little while, as he left, he put his slave as the king of Lahore, Malik Ayaz. Malik Ayaz had a feudalistic loyalty to his king, and while we were in the old city, we thought just pausing to spend a minute or two at this mausoleum would be important. Obviously the whole structure is new, but the experience of going this up close to Malik Ayaz's tomb is quite remarkable. And I hope you enjoy witnessing this moment of history that I think is important to record, as I have. In the middle of the 17th century, the battle for the Peacock Throne raged. In Mughal dynastic change meant that brother was pitted against brother, and in this case, Dara Shikoh, the crown prince of Emperor Shah Jahan, was pitted against his brother Aurangzeb. Aurangzeb had challenged his rule, and by the time 1659 rolled around, Dara was losing this battle. He and his wife, his only wife, Nadira Bano Begum, decided to leave India, and they went towards Iran. A tragedy struck in the Bolan Pass in Balochistan. Nadira Bano Begum died. Dara Shikoh brought the body of his beloved wife back to Lahore and buried her near his patron saint, Hazrat Mia Mir. A couple of feet from me sleeps the princess, Nadira Bano Begum, the daughter of Parvez Mirza, granddaughter of Jahangir. The wedding was organized between Dara Shikoh and Princess Nadira Bano Begum by Jahangir himself. They were a couple who were completely in love with each other. She wrote farmans, royal edicts on behalf of Dara. Had she been alive today, I wonder if she would have said, Shabe Tari ko bime mojo, girdabe chuni hail. Shabe Tari ko bime mojo, girdabe chuni hail. Kuja danand halema, subuk sarane sahil ha. This structure was built much later in 1693, in the time of Aurangzeb himself. This had floral bouquets painted all over it. It had marble. What remains now is the bare structure. The original embellishments are no longer here. The other important point about this mausoleum is that this was built in a water body. You have seen these bridges that connect to it. So whatever is green that you're seeing here today was actually water. And it is not uncommon for Mughals and the Central Asian rulers to have mausoleums built in the center of water bodies. Sher Shah Suri's tomb in Delhi is the same. Hiran Minar is the same, and there are several others like these. Bhabesh Chandra Sanyal, or B.C Sanyal, a doyen of Indian modernism. His big career break came in 1929 when he was commissioned by a firm in Lahore to make a bust, and he moved to Lahore in 1929 to do the work. And this was such a hub of culture, sophistication and understanding, the commissions just poured in, and he decided to make Lahore his home for many, many years. He eventually became the vice principal of the Mayo College, now called the National College of Art. And then he started his own art school called the Lahore School of Art, a studio-cum art school. First started at FC College and then moved right here to Dyal Singh Mansions, which is where I am standing. After spending a few years here, he moved the studio to the Grand Hall at Regal Cinema. And it was here in B.C Sanyal Studio cum art space that Chughtai and Allah Baksh, along with his own works, exhibited. No story about Lahore can be complete without talking about Sir Ganga Ram, agriculturist, architect, civil engineer, and above all, an inspiring philanthropist. He initially bought 50,000 acres of land in Sahiwal, which was barren, and he irrigated it, building a 1,000-mile canal. He made millions of rupees, and he gave it all away to this city. And then he contributed magnificently to the urban landscape of Lahore. Sir Malcolm Haley, the governor of Punjab, said, Sir Ganga Ram won like a hero and gave like a saint. Here is to Sir Ganga Ram. What a man, what a contribution.